and welcome. Today we are going to look at the biblical figure Seth. Seth, in Judaism, Christianity, Mandaism, Sethianism, and Islam, was the third son of Adam and Eve and brother of Cain and Abel, their only other children mentioned by name in the Hebrew Bible. Now let's pause there for a moment. As it says, their only other children mentioned by name in the Hebrew Bible. Now, pause, take a minute and ask yourself, why? Now keep this in mind when doing your research on these biblical figures. Ask yourself, why are they telling me in all these figures, so and so had Cain? And Cain had other sons and daughters. Abel, well, he didn't make it that far, and now to add to the story, as if they needed the line to extend. So now we have Seth, and according to the information in not just the Bible, but also in extra Gnostic writings you find, Seth had Enosh, and 32 mind you, 32 other sons and 23 other daughters. None of which are listed and no info given on them. That to me when researching is very suspicious. According to Genesis 4:25, Seth was born after Abel's murder by Cain, and Eve believed that God had appointed him as a replacement for Abel. Okay, so again, pause. We now see, Eve or Hava, in Hebrew. She states, and I quote, Eve believed that God had appointed him as a replacement for Abel. So now let's look at the verse here as any good researcher would do. Inspect the verse, look at the Hebrew wording. For those of us that know the Hebraic language, we see the confliction right away. Genesis 4:25 quoted from the Institute for Scriptural Research, TS 2009, Gen 425a. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Sheth, for Elohim has appointed me another seed instead of Hevel, because Cain had killed him. Now let's look at this verse in question. First thing I see wrong is, the verse states, for Elohim has appointed me. Now my problem here is Eve states the Elohim. Now mind you, the word Elohim does not mean Yahweh, or even God. Elohim in Hebrew means gods, plural meaning more than one, judges, and angels. I'm sorry, but I do not believe that Elohim in any way stands for a single God as the Jewish occult tells you. First off, if it would mean one God, it would be Eloah, meaning a single God. There is more, but I want to leave room for you to do your own research. I mean, really, what fun would it be and what would you learn if I just gave you all the info and you had to put no work into it? It would mean a lot less than if you look up what I am giving and finding this out on your own. Then you would be more certain to believe what you found versus what I mentioned in this video, correct? Awesome, then get to hitting the books. LOL, you nerd. Just kidding, a little humor. Okay, so Eve says, for Elohim has appointed me another seed. The term should be read like this. The gods have appointed me another seed. In my opinion, this word Elohim is in reference to the fallen mentioned in Enoch, the 200 lesser deities that got jealous that God, whoever, he is Lord, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, El Shaddai, El Elyon, and on, created humans. That's correct, you heard me say the 200 I believe had gotten jealous that maybe God created humans, just my thought. But it would account as to why they tried to trick Eve in the garden by way of a snake, mainly the snake deity, Samael, but anyway, let's move on. There is so much more here, but like I said, for the sake of time, do your own research. So when looking at the text, I believe Eve had been given Seth from the gods, not any one single god. This will all make sense once you know the beginning and the language. Also, if you haven't yet, and you're researching, stop now. And go look up the documentary hypothesis. I will leave a link to it in the video description below. Very important. Okay, so let's move on. According to the book of Genesis, Seth was born when Adam was 130 years old, according to the Masoretic text, or 230 years old, according to the Septuagint, a son in his likeness and image. The genealogy is repeated at 1 Chronicles 1:1-3. Genesis 5:4-5 states that Adam fathered sons and daughters before his death, aged 930 years. According to Genesis, Seth lived to the age of 912. I just want to point out this contradiction. Just in case someone is keeping track of all of them, laughing my ass off, it says, and I quote, Genesis 5:4-5 states that Adam fathered sons and daughters before his death, aged 930 years. Did you catch that? Before his death, aged 930 years. But wait a minute, Genesis says he lived. Seth lived to the age of 912. If he aged 930 years, how the hell did he only live to the age of 912? Nothing to see here, just blindly follow, isn't that what they tell you, as if lol. Okay, so this is just some of the little info on Seth. Like I said in my other video, when I went back and started spending time looking into all these biblical figures, I found a lot of things that didn't add up, but then when you start to paste this whole fairy tale together, you see it wasn't made by a god. It was created by man, with stories taken from other older mythologies, and hacked, and put into their little, god theory, fairy tale. I will start to show this and what I believe and why I believe it, and provide sources here soon. I just have to get it all together. I am a very bad organizer. I just put things in folders and well they become missing, yup, upon the lost, laughing out loud. Stay tuned, it's coming, like I said. Once I am done with the background of the biblical figures, we will slowly go through and look at the time back then, the terminology, from then to today, and show how your God Yahweh was simple, maybe nothing more than a fire-breathing, yup, you got it, dragon. Okay, so let's look at the Jewish aspect of Seth. Seth figures in the pseudepigraphical texts of the life of Adam and Eve, the Apocalypse of Moses. It recounts the lives of Adam and Eve from after their expulsion from the Garden of Eden to their deaths. While the surviving versions were composed from the early 3rd to the 5th century, the literary units in the work are considered to be older and predominantly of Jewish origin. There is wide agreement that the original was composed in a Semitic language in the 1st century AD/CE. In the Greek versions, Seth and Eve travel to the doors of the garden to beg for some oil of the tree of mercy, i.e., the tree of life. On the way, Seth is attacked and bitten by a wild beast, which goes away when ordered by Seth. Michael refuses to give them the oil at that time, but promises to give it at the end of time, when all flesh will be raised up, the delights of paradise will be given to the holy people and God will be in their midst. On their return, Adam says to Eve, "What hast thou done? Thou hast brought upon us great wrath, which is death." Chapters 5 through 14. Later, only Seth can witness the taking up of Adam at his funeral in a divine chariot, which deposits him in the Garden of Eden. Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, refers to Seth as the ancestor of Noah and hence the father of all mankind, all other humans having perished in the great flood. Seth is seen by Eve as a replacement given by God for Abel, whom Cain had slain. It is said that late in life, Adam gave Seth secret teachings that would become the Kabbalah. The Zohar refers to Seth as ancestor of all the generations of the Tzaddikim, Hebrew, righteous ones. According to Seder Olam Rabbah, based on Jewish reckoning, he was born in 1:30 a.m. According to Agadah, he had 33 sons and 23 daughters. According to the Seder Olam Rabbah, he died in 10:42 a.m. Okay, so a few things to notice here. Let's break this down, shall we? Number 1. We notice, while the surviving versions were composed from the early 3rd to the 5th century, the literary units in the work are considered to be older and predominantly of Jewish origin. There is wide agreement that the original was composed in a Semitic language in the 1st century AD/CE. Number 2. In the Greek versions, Seth and Eve travel to the doors of the garden to beg for some oil of the tree of mercy, i.e. the tree of life. On the way, Seth is attacked and bitten by a wild beast, which goes away when ordered by Seth. Michael refuses to give them the oil at that time, but promises to give it at the end of time, when all flesh will be raised up. But wait, I thought only the Christians that was saved by Jebus Christus gets harpazoed, / taken up, resurrected. LOL, fools. Number 3. On their return, Adam says to Eve, "What hast thou done? Thou hast brought upon us great wrath, which is death." Chapters 5 through 14. Later, only Seth can witness the taking up of Adam at his funeral in a divine chariot, which deposits him in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so I found it very interesting that it states this, only Seth can witness the taking up of Adam at his funeral in a divine chariot, which deposits him in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so I have to say it first. We see here that Adam states to Eve, "What hast thou done? Thou hast brought upon us great wrath, which is death." You would have thought Adam would have spoken to her at the time they left the garden, not on their way back to beg for some oil. But if Eve had been inseminated by an entity, that would explain a lot, especially when it comes to Cain and Seth, and would also explain why they are trying to steer the population in one certain path in this genealogy, as well as all the secrets from the public, the cover-up of aliens, etc. and so on. This here is the first case of an alien abduction, Only Seth can witness the taking up of Adam. But this isn't the only place mentioned in the Bible of alien abductions. There was Enoch, and Ezekiel. But that's where I will stop, with my speculation or opinion. For last but not least it is said that late in life, Adam gave Seth secret teachings that would become the Kabbalah. The Zohar refers to Seth as ancestor of all the generations of the Tzaddikim, Hebrew, righteous ones. Adam gave secret teachings to Seth. Kabbalah Jewish mysticism, the same very thing that your fairy tale tells you is a sin. Yet the Jewish people practice it faithfully. Ask yourself why? Okay, one last thing before I go, let's look at some writings from Josephus. In the Antiquities of the Jews, Josephus refers to Seth as virtuous and of excellent character, and reports that his descendants invented the wisdom of the heavenly bodies, and built the pillars of the sons of Seth, 2 pillars inscribed with many scientific discoveries and inventions, notably in astronomy. They were built by Seth's descendants based on Adam's prediction that the world would be destroyed at one time by fire and another time by global flood, in order to protect the discoveries and be remembered after the destruction. One was composed of brick, and the other of stone, so that if the pillar of brick should be destroyed, the pillar of stone would remain, both reporting the ancient discoveries, and informing men that a pillar of brick was also erected. Josephus reports that the pillar of stone remained in the land of Sariad in his day. William Whiston, a 18th century translator of the Antiquities, stated in a footnote that he believed Josephus mistook Seth for Sesostris, king of Egypt, the erector of the pillar in Sariad, being a contemporary name for the territories in which Sirius was venerated because, i.e. Egypt. He stated that there was no way for any pillars of Seth to survive the deluge, because the deluge buried all such pillars and edifices far underground in the sediment of its waters. The perennialist writer Nigel Jackson identifies the land of Sariad in Josephus' account with Syria, citing related Mandean legends regarding the Oriental land of Syr in connection with the visionary mythogeography of the prophetic traditions surrounding Seth. Okay, so I have given you much to think about and research. Let's go get to finding the truth. I know, you don't believe me. Well, stay tuned. Like I said, I have proof from your own fairy tale. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and please hit the like, share, and please subscribe. Have a great day, and research on. Peace out.